You're listening to a highlight from One Nation with Dov Lipman on Voice of Israel.
Welcome back to One Nation with Dov Lipman, a special Jerusalem Day edition. We've really run the whole spectrum over here in terms of getting different perspectives on Jerusalem. And as we do every week, we open the floor to questions from our audience. And we have a Jerusalem-oriented question today, which I want to answer. It's the first time that a person has asked a question without giving their full name. So this is a question from A. in the city of Hashmonaim. Hashmonaim is a city where I actually, a settlement actually, where I spent the Shabbat, the Sabbath, last week, and was graciously hosted by the community and gave some presentations. And the question is as follows: how can you, as a religious rabbi, be part of a left-wing party which would divide Jerusalem in a peace agreement with the Palestinians? I'm so happy for the question because, as often happens when questions are asked, there's misinformation. People just don't recognize the facts. And I am part of a party called Yesh Atid, which means there is a future. By no means a left-wing party in Israel. And this actually gives me the chance to segue into the political situation in general on this Jerusalem Day. Our party platform actually says very clearly that we're against the division of Jerusalem. Today we're celebrating the reunification of Jerusalem and Jewish sovereignty over the entire city, and that's something which we believe needs to stay in place no matter what happens in the political arena. The chairman of my party is a member of Knesset by the name of Yair Lapid, and he speaks often about the connection that we have to Jerusalem. And the way he says it actually, I think, captures it beautifully. He says, when we return to Israel, we didn't return to the Azrieli Towers in Tel Aviv, but we returned to the Tower of David in Jerusalem. This is the place that we've been yearning for, and the same way no one would ever ask people in England to divide London, and in America, no one's talking about dividing Washington, we're not going to be dividing Jerusalem. So it's a very clear platform issue. I personally, as a religious rabbi, would never be involved in a political movement which sought or was interested or even agreeable to the division of Jerusalem. And the way I say it, and I actually have traveled around the world to various capitals, including on Capitol Hill in Congress, to talk about this issue, the way I say it is that a united Jerusalem means peace, and a divided Jerusalem means war. We just had Rebecca Brimmer, CEO of Bridges for Peace, a Christian who lives in Israel, works in Jerusalem, lived in Jerusalem for many years, and we heard her describe how she has freedom to worship in Jerusalem, something which did not exist before the Six-Day War and the reunification of Jerusalem. People couldn't worship freely, and there was persecution not just of Jews, but also of the Christian community. There was never a time in history where there was freedom of worship for all faiths, except when the Jewish people had control over Jerusalem. And therefore, I appreciate the question because it gives me the chance to make that point very clearly. Our party does believe that we need to be exploring solutions to the conflict with the Palestinians. However, we are not in any way talking about the division of Jerusalem, and it's an important point to re-emphasize as we celebrate this Jerusalem Day and the reunification of
Voice of Israel, your source for news and views on everything Israel and the Middle East.